Hey everybody, I'm sitting right outside my new school. Most of you know I'll be starting at a new school next year. So I thought it'd be a good chance to take the opportunity to show you a little bit of the school and to talk about classroom design, environment design, and what goes into my thought process when I try to figure out what I want my classroom to look like and how that directly relates to how I want to feel in the space and how I want my students to feel in the space. And that's true for anybody in education or anyone who is ever anywhere. And you can control the environment. The way you feel in the space is directly related to some choices you're going to make. So I want to talk about that a little bit. So let's go inside and take a little tour. Okay, so I'm here in the school walking down the hall, and I wanted to record a little bit in the hall because where your students are coming from is just as important as how they feel when they're in the space. And that's true if you're at a business where people come in from outside, or if they're coming in from a mall, or if they're coming into your living room. Where they're coming from is going to relate to how they feel when they step into the space that you curated, that you created. So this is a nice school, but the halls are still dark, and they're cavernous, and they're going to be full of students, and they're going to be full of lockers and people cramming around. And this hectic atmosphere is going to directly relate to how they're feeling before they walk into my space. So I need to take that into consideration while making my choices. Let me stop here at the room and peek into a room that's not mine. And this is what they're used to. They're used to walking into what I personally feel like looks like a jail cell. So big cavernous halls, crowded, into rows and columns of desks that are horribly uncomfortable to sit at, where you are one of 100 students who are just the same as everybody else. I don't know, I just don't think this is the way we should be teaching anymore. We've been having people in rows facing the front. This is a little house on the prairie. I think we can evolve past that. So I'm coming up to my room now. Let me show you what my space looks like. So this is the hall that they're going to be coming from when they get to my room. Even bigger than the other halls. This used to be the main center of the school. They added on a few times, but it's still a pretty big space. They've got the vending machines here. And so all this hectic space is going to be right outside my door. And right here is my door. And so from this point, I'm in control. And from this point, I need to decide what my students feel when they come into my room. But first, I need to give you a little bit of a backstory. When I was hired, there was a room they were going to be moving. The old classroom of the teacher I'm replacing was going to be moved to a different space. So I had a rare opportunity, and they offered me to be involved in the discussion of what that room would look like, and I was very lucky. Sometimes the room's already there for you when you become a teacher, and you just get what you get. I asked for some non-traditional things. We took some things out that they assumed I would want, and that saved some money to put some stuff in that people don't normally ask for. And then we found some additional funding from the district offices. And to be honest, they liked the way I did things enough that they were willing to find a way to make them work. So when you come into my room, it's not typical. Now, this is not done yet. I'm letting you see the half-finished project. But you'll notice I don't have rows. This is the same size as a traditional classroom, but instead of having rows facing the front, I think that sends a bad message. So I have all the desks facing the outside. There is no front of the room. The teacher is not the only one whose opinion matters. And when you sit in this environment with everyone facing the wall, which feels antisocial, your work is all facing the inside of the room, so everyone sees what everyone's working on at the same time. I also got rid of the projector and the screen because I don't think you should subject students to sit through hours of PowerPoints every day. So instead, I asked for some large screen TVs in the middle of the room, and they said yes, which was amazing. And so I've got 4 60-inch televisions in the middle of my room in a Jumbotron motif. So when I do need to show video content, because this is a marketing class, it's a media-rich environment, they can simply turn their little chair around, face the middle for a second, and see what's on the TV. I don't stand in front of the room and discuss things. I sit with the students. So underneath this, it's not here yet. Underneath the television will be a large conference table where we can all move our chairs to the middle and discuss things. One problem that this room had was there was no place doing it this way for a teacher desk. But there was a large built-in 1970s, 80s cabinet ugly thing in one part of the room. So my suggestion was to rip it out. But the problem was there was some brick wall that was still going to be left there. So let me show you what we did. You can still see the brick wall is left from where the cabinet got ripped out. But we just took a table and turned it into a desk by cutting off the back legs shorter. So there's still room to sit at the table, at the desk. And then we bought some shelves to go on the wall. This used to be a built-in cabinet right here, turned into the desk space. So I do have a space for a teacher's desk near the door while still maintaining a communal environment. So here's my point. Your environment speaks more to people than the colors you choose and what you say and what you do, and they'll get to know you over time and all of that. But when someone walks into your environment, what you've designed and how you set things up speaks volumes to how you feel about them as a person and how you feel about working together or how you feel about interacting with a human. So when I have my students walk in, I want them to instantly know that something's different. And they probably can't put their finger on it yet, besides it looks different. And they don't know how my classroom is going to run yet, but they know there aren't rows and columns of boring desks facing the front. They instantly are in what's called a state of disequilibrium, where they have to question. They have to try to figure out what's going on. And it wakes the brain up and it gets them thinking about how they're going to interact with that space, interact with the curriculum. Before I say a word, before I introduce my topic, before they even know what my classroom is going to be dealing with, they know that's a different environment and that makes them question things. And that's a huge thing in education where they start thinking. You want students to think. And when you always provide them the exact same scenario where they have been told for 10, 12 years to do things like everybody else and to always follow the same pattern, you're fighting an uphill battle. And you're not giving them the opportunity to be creative. And in a marketing classroom especially, creativity is king. And everything that creativity is a little bit against what schools want. Creativity is finding a new solution and speaking out of turn and doing things a weird way. And that's what I want in my classroom. I want the students to learn how to think. If they forget some of the definitions of the topics we've covered, that's going to happen. I'm okay with that. But if they can remember how they feel, if they can remember that they were encouraged to think because of the environment, and hopefully because I did something useful as well, then that's highly significant. So here's the takeaway that I would suggest. Whatever your environment is, what is the way you've laid it out saying? What is your living room saying? Is it everything pushed against the wall? Is it in the middle of the room for conversation? Do you have a very hectic, busy, tons of stuff all over the place kind of feel? Is it comfortable? Is your work environment welcoming to coworkers? Does it have a standoffish attitude to it? Whatever you're designing for a classroom or a workspace, the decisions you make, it's not about what your favorite color is. It's what it says to those who are going to interact with you in that environment. So maybe it's worth thinking about. So have a good day. If you like my videos, hit like and subscribe, and we'll get some more up for you soon. Thanks. Hey everybody, I'm sitting out, oh man.